Good morning. Hi, I'm Pam Fox at pamfox.org, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about a topic that's been asked of me to talk in more depth, and that's inflammation. I've talked a little bit about it before, but I'm going to be talking about inflammation and what that has to do with reflux and hiatal hernia. So before I do, I want to remind you or ask you to please follow me here on Facebook if you enjoy or appreciate my content. I am going to be continuing through the rest of this month sharing different topics on how I reverse my hiatal hernia. And I have an exciting announcement at the end of this live, and I'm going to be leading a short meditative tutorial as well. So stick around for that at the end. So I think that's it. Yeah, okay, so let's get started. So inflammation, when we think about inflammation, first of all, we have to understand what it is. So it's an important thing, it's a good thing, it's a life-saving mechanism. It's how the body responds to injury. Any injury, the body responds, one of its first responses to that injury is to flood that area with what's needed to begin the healing process. And so I like to think of it as an external injury to really be able to visualize what's happening internally. So if I were to fall down on the concrete wearing shorts and bust open my knee, the body is going to flood that knee with what's needed to begin the healing process. So there's going to be some pain and some swelling there, some tenderness, some redness, maybe some blood. And as that process continues, the inflammation will come down a little bit, the pain will go away, the scab will form, and then a little bit more time, the swelling goes down, the pain goes away, maybe the scab falls off, and before you know it, you've got a little scar tissue there and you're as good as new. So, but imagine if you were to fall down on that knee every day, let's say 3 times a day, let's say week after week, month after month, year after year. You can imagine now you've got what's known as chronic inflammation or ongoing or long-term inflammation, because the body is trying to heal that injury, but it can't because you keep re-injuring it, re-injuring it, re-injuring it. So when we think of inflammation in general, it's a good thing, but when we think of chronic inflammation or long-term inflammation, that's repetitive injury. That's when the injury isn't able to fully heal because it keeps getting injured. And so what does this have to do with our gastric system or reflux or hiatal hernia? Well, when it comes to the gastric system, it can become injured. The lining can become injured, and much of that is due to our diet. There can be other reasons, but much of that is due to the food that we eat. And so we eat, 3 times a day, 7 days a week, all of our life. If our diet isn't, that healthy, then there comes a breaking point where the digestive system is inflamed all of the time, and so then there begins to be issues, just like with that knee. If your knee was injured all the time, it was inflamed and you kept re-injuring it all the time, that's going to affect your life. That's going to affect the ability of that knee to function. And the same thing goes for your digestive tract. So if it's always inflamed because it's always injured, you're going to have issues. And we know this. All we have to do is take a look around, maybe for yourself, maybe someone you know. But digestive conditions, gastric conditions, they're epidemic. They're epidemic. So, and those of us with hiatal hernia and GERD are included in that. So, so what's a person to do if they have inflammation? And how does a person know if they have inflammation? And how does this affect our reflux? Well, if we think about inflamed tissues, they're swollen, right? They're swollen, they're tender, they're injured. And so they're not able to optimally work the way they're supposed to. So they're not able to do the job that they were meant to do. So if we apply this to the tissues of the lower esophageal sphincter, where the esophagus meets your stomach, remember that little valve right there where the food comes in and empties into the stomach, and then it's supposed to clamp down tight and not let anything come back up into the esophagus. So if we think about that little valve, and now we imagine that it's inflamed, that it's injured, and that it's always swollen, you can see how it would have a difficult time clamping down tight and doing its job effectively. It's going to be compromised. Okay, so that's one thing you can think of. Also with hiatal hernia, so if you do have a hernia and part of your stomach, you can picture your stomach like there's a belt wrapped around it, because your diaphragm, it's stuck up into your diaphragm, and so you've got this tight belt around a stomach that does what? That expands every time we eat. So now this little portion is going to expand, this little portion is going to expand, and what do you think is going to happen to this little portion? It's going to become inflamed because it's got a belt around it all the time, and as that expands, so now the tissues of the stomach are becoming inflamed, the tissues of the esophageal sphincter are becoming inflamed, and if you've got inflammation here, then every time you breathe, every time your diaphragm goes up or down, that's going to cause pain and tenderness there at the site. So that's why if you have a lot of discomfort, pain, tenderness here, and then if you're going to try to move your stomach down, which is what I teach, how to reverse a hiatal hernia, you're going to try to pull that stomach down, and you've got inflammation there, and it's swollen and lodged up in that diaphragm, and you're going to try to move that down. Yeah, that might be very painful. That was my first experience when I tried to manually move my stomach down. I was in a lot of pain. So it's really important when we talk about reversing a hiatal hernia to first address this inflammation if that's an issue for you. Now, if you're on a really healthy diet and you don't have any food sensitivities or food allergies, and just, that's not an issue for you, then you may or may not have inflammation. Most people with digestive conditions, though, do have a certain amount of inflammation, and so it's really important to address this first. And so how I recommend addressing and eliminating abdominal or gastric inflammation is to watch what you're eating. We have to make that connection that it's the food that we're putting into that system, it's what's causing the injury. And so, depending on who you listen to or who you trust, everybody's going to have a different opinion on what those foods are. So I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you about the diet that I went on, and I know I've already talked about this, so I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. But I am on a plant-based diet, and for me, going on a plant-based diet really healed my gut. It got rid of inflammation, constipation, and bloating, which was really important foundationally for me to be able to move that stomach down. You know what I'm saying? So if you've got inflammation and you're trying to move that stomach down, it's going to make it difficult. If you're constipated all the time, all of that force to bear down and strain to pass a bowel movement is going to push that stomach back up into the herniated position. So you're really fighting an uphill battle if you have these digestive hurdles. But a plant-based diet will address a lot of this a lot of the time. Not all of the time, obviously. For some people, their gut is in such a state of disrepair, it takes a lot of time and patience and additional support to heal the gut. But for many people, just going on a plant-based diet, for some people, just adding in more fruits and vegetables and maybe cutting back on the junk foods is helpful. Everyone is going to be different. So I like to recommend people check out John McDougall's website. That's one of the resources that I used when I went on a plant-based diet. I find it to be a very comprehensive website with a lot of free content, a lot of testimonials, a lot of information. But again, for some people, there's additional support is going to need to be required. Maybe you need to take supplementation to build up the gut flora. Maybe you need supplementation to heal the lining of the gut. Maybe you need to go, on a fast. And I would never recommend anybody go on a fast, a long-term fast, unless they're doing it under medical supervision. And there are lots of places that you can do that, and one is called True North Health Center in Santa Rosa, California. So those are some resources that you can check out about getting your inflammation under control. So I hope this has been helpful. The announcement that I want to make today is that my course is finally finished. It's not perfect. There are probably still bugs to be worked out, and I'll probably still make improvements on it as time goes by. but I've just been putting off launching it for too long. So I launched it last night. I'm doing a 24-hour sale starting this morning, 25% off. So it's $49, and I'm going to put the link below. Hopefully I'll remember to that sales page as soon as I finish this live, so you can go check it out. There are lots of testimonials from the people who tested my course. Thank you to everyone that tested my course and gave me testimonials. I really, really appreciate all of the positive feedback and love. So you can go and check out those testimonials and learn more about my course, and you can buy it right there, and then you can own it and start watching today. And I have several tutorials in there, full length, short ones, long ones, on all of the exercises that I teach. I do talk about anatomy, I do talk about diet and inflammation and all of the stuff I'm talking about here, but it's all in one condensed place for those of you who are interested. So like I said before, all of the information in my course is here. It's on my Facebook page, it's on my YouTube channel, so if you want to filter all through that, it's there for free for you to benefit from. But if you want it all in one place and you want to put down some money for it, that's an option as well. So let's do a short tutorial. This is the, excuse me, move my table back so you can see my belly. So this is baby's breath, which is, hang on just a second, I'm going to make sure. Good morning, everyone. Hi, everyone. I just want to make sure. Thanks, Paul. Is it a video only course? There is a PDF, Paul, that's an outline of the course, but it's the rest is it's all videos. Yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to see. Sarfraz asks, how do you get rid of shortness of breath? Well, it really just comes down to, Sarfraz, it comes down to unherniating your stomach. That's the key here, is getting that stomach down and out of the herniated position. So as long as your stomach is herniated, it's putting pressure on a variety. It's putting a pressure on a variety of your anatomy. If you're having trouble breathing, your diaphragm and your lungs are probably compromised, or you could be having acid coming all the way up and then coming back down and getting into the lungs. All it takes is a tiny little bit of acid. This stuff is powerful. Stomach acid is powerful stuff. It doesn't take much to burn. But getting that stomach out of the herniated position, to me, that's the key. That is the key to reversing your conditions. Because once you get that stomach out of the herniated position, you no longer have all of the pressure on the different anatomies that cause the symptoms. The symptoms are a result of the pressure on the lower esophageal sphincter, pressure on the heart, the lungs, the vagus nerve, the aorta, pressure on the stomach, the esophagus. So once we unherniate the stomach, we take all of that pressure away. And so there's a lot of holistic things that go into unherniating that stomach. For some, they can simply move it down. For some, they can simply open up the belly and learn how to belly breathe and give that stomach to move down. For others, we have to break up that mesentery, that peritoneum, get that movement going. And for others, we have to make a change in our diet so that we're not pushing our stomach up by bearing down with constipation. We're not causing all of that inflammation by putting in foods that are high in saturated fat, chemicals, preservatives, additives, hormones. If you have, insensitivities or allergies, maybe you're allergic to dairy. All of that dairy you're putting in, the milk, the ice cream, the yogurt, the cheese is just tearing up your gastric system, injuring it, and then you have that response again of inflammation all the time, inflammation, ongoing. So there are a lot of things that you need to do holistically to move that stomach down out of the herniated position, and that's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different for everybody. And then of course we need to strengthen our hiatus, strengthen our diaphragm. And so these are all things that I teach, exercises that I teach in my course. So let's go ahead and do a quick tutorial of one of my exercises that is foundational to all of my exercises that I call baby's breath. And you want to sit comfortably. If you want to recline, I think that's helpful. That lifts the rib cage up a little bit and helps open up the belly. Bring your attention to your abs and really let go of your abs. If you're wearing tight clothing, that's going to be counterproductive to this exercise. You want to have loose clothing that's not pushing your stomach in. Place your hands on your belly and really relax the abs as you begin to breathe Look for a tight muscle anywhere in your body and really relax it. Really relax any tension anywhere you feel. But keep bringing the focus back to the abs and seek out tension in the abdominal wall. Maybe on the sides, maybe down low, maybe up high. And one thing you can do is my exercise called Eye of the Storm to really begin those muscles, help them to begin to really let go and relax. And as you do this, you might hear some gurgling or feel some bubbles. And that's one good indication that your stomach has already moved down a little bit, just because you relax those muscles that were pushing it in and holding it up, supporting it up into the diaphragm, which is what we want. We want it to move down. So this is one thing you can do to prepare for belly breathing, is really help those muscles become into a relaxed state. So then you can either place your hands on your belly and then use your belly, bring your focus to your belly button or your abdominal wall, and as you breathe in, push your hands out. Push your hands out. Imagine your belly like a balloon blowing up, and then exhale, and then really deflate the lungs, but at no time pull the abs in and keep them relaxed the whole time. So let's do this for about a minute. Breathe in, expand the belly, push the hands out with the belly. It doesn't have to be a huge, powerful, aggressive force, but you want to feel the belly rising. And for some, exhale, relax. For some, this is more difficult than others, because the abdomen has been so tight for so long that it's really difficult to stretch. It's inflexible. Just like any muscle that hasn't been stretched in a long time, it becomes inflexible. So this takes practice. So inhale, expand the belly. Do the best you can. Exhale, deflate the lungs. Don't contract the abs. Inhale, expand the belly. Exhale, deflate the lungs. Relax the shoulders. Really blow all the air out. Keep the belly soft. Inhale, expand the belly. Exhale, deflate the lungs. Blow all the air out. Keep the muscles relaxed. Inhale, expand the belly. Exhale, relax, 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 relax. Keep the muscles relaxed in the belly. Breathe in, expand the belly. Breathe out, exhale, relax, relax. Deflate the lungs. As you deflate the lungs, the diaphragm keeps moving up. Inhale, expand the belly. Exhale, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out. As the diaphragm moves up and the stomach relaxes, the belly moves down. That's where we're creating that initial separation. Inhale, expand. Exhale, deflate. Inhale, expand. Ooh, exhale, deflate. I don't know if you can hear my belly gurgling. So this is something, try it for at least a minute a day. If you can do it for 5 minutes a day, it's not labored breathing, it's relaxed breathing. You are taking a full breath and you're fully exhaling. If you start to get dizzy, you're laboring too hard. You want this to be a very relaxed, meditative practice to help you begin to stretch those abs, open up the belly, and give that stomach room to move down. Now, if this exercise causes you further discomfort and increases your symptoms, it's probably because that stomach is trying to move up and down as you're moving the diaphragm through its full range of motion, which it may not be used to. And so those tender tissues, again, that are inflamed, are not liking that pulling. So if that's the case for you, you really need to take a step backward and address inflammation first. And that means that you may have to make some changes in your diet. And before I go, I just want to encourage you, because I've been on a plant-based diet. It'll be 4 years in July, and I enjoy it thoroughly. It's not a deprivation, and I never feel. Yesterday I went to a birthday party where they were serving a whole, buckets of, Kentucky Fried Chicken meal, the biscuits and the butter and the beans and the chicken and all of that, the coleslaw. None of that is vegan, I'm pretty sure. And I was fine. I had no desire to eat that food. In the beginning it is hard, but you do get to a point where you just have no desire to eat that food, because you now know that the food you eat is also delicious. if you can really learn how to cook and come up with some meals that you really enjoy. The food that you eat is also delicious, but it's also healing you. It's giving you energy, it's healing you of your conditions, it's helping you overcome the symptoms that you want to overcome and put behind you. And I haven't forgotten what it's like to have GERD and reflux and chronic belching and nausea and pain all of the time. I haven't forgotten. And so that's why I do this. I'm trying to get this information out there. You can reverse a hiatal hernia. You can overcome reflux naturally. So I'm living proof of that. So, all right, everyone, I hope you have a really amazing, wonderful, beautiful day. Thank you so much for watching.